This is one of my favourite launching places, Coastline, and I came down here today full of expectation that I'd be able to get the kayak out, but I kayak on my own and the conditions just are a bit too much. I'm not going to risk that one. So talking of safety, I thought I'd run you through something called RYA SafeTrx. It's what I use for like sail planning and an alert system for each time I go out. So I think it's a really good app, and it's advised by the Coastguard that you use it. I've heard them ask people to use it on the radio when they've rung in for a passage and a radio check. I'm going to run you through that, and we'll make a video of that today rather than risking going out at sea. I've come into the back of the camper van to actually do this little video for you. It was a bit too bright outside. I don't think you'd have actually seen the mobile phone screen. It's also quite windy, so I think you'd have had a lot of wind noise as well. So what I'm going to talk about today is the RYA SafeTrx app. So if we just open up SafeTrx here, the app you can download from the iStore and the Google Play Store. Once you've actually downloaded it, go into your privacy settings and allow the app to track you. Use data, location data always. That way you'll get the best experience from it. There is an RYA video to run through this, and it may be worth looking at that as well, but I just thought I'd show you what I've got here with it. With these three bars at the top here, you can set up your profile. Your profiles are basically your vessel, what you're going to go out on. I have two profiles. I've got the kayak called RYA, and I've got the Orkney Coastliner called Real Time. So I can select one or the other. And in each of those profiles, I put details about the boats. So the Real Time will have the details of a 20 horsepower engine, 14-foot boat, it's painted red, it's got a white superstructure, what equipment it's got on board, etc. And that's really to inform the Coast Guard should there be an issue. It gives them an idea of what they're looking for. It's quite specific. They'll know, right, I'm looking for a red and white boat, 14-footer, Orkney Coastliner, and they've got photos of it, etc. So really helps from that point of view. The next item down on the menu is the key contacts. Key contacts is what this app is going to get in contact with if there are any difficulties. So you do need to set that up. You do need a shore-based contact. For most of us, it's a wife, a husband, partner, but somebody that's responsible for an emergency contact. So let's come out of that page and go back to home. On the home page, we've got Explore. You can see actually where you are on the map. I've not really found that very helpful for me. I tend to know where I am, to be honest. We've got a current location here, which is a lat long. We've got two things here, a sail plan and a track only. So if you just wanted to track yourself and you're out with a load of people and you know you're all safe in a big bunch, then that's one thing. But for me, I'm usually out on my own and there's nobody else here to look after me. If something goes wrong, I am definitely on my own, particularly on the northeast coast of Scotland. There are no other boats around. I've been here for about an hour and I've not seen one boat out, apart from a freighter, which would probably be about 5 miles offshore. The thing at the bottom here is call for help. Press that, it will get you straight through to the Coast Guard. I'm going to keep my thumb well away from that. So, sail plan. When we actually get the sail plan open, it's just telling us what's going to happen. So the sail plan records a starting point, a destination and any optional waypoints along the route, but most importantly an estimated time of arrival, when you're going to get back onto dry land and safe. That's the point at which it will begin to start a message to your emergency contacts to either say that you're back on dry land because you've ended the trip, or if you haven't got back on dry land and you haven't ended the trip, it will start to notify your key contact. Does need a mobile phone for this, mobile coverage. Okay, now we're getting down to the detail of the actual trip. You'll see at the top there we've got select your vessel. This one's defaulted to real time. That was what I was using last time. So if we select here Coastguard, that's my kayak. We're now then defaulting this to Coastguard. So now if there's a problem, the Coastguard knows that they're looking for Coastguard, and they know from all the photographs I uploaded and description what they're actually looking for. Next section is the ETA, when we're going to get back. Its current time now is 14:16, but let's just change this. So we change the time to say 3:30 and select that. This is the time that we are definitely going to get back on dry land. How many people are on board? Well, it's the kayak, there's just me on board. Select an activity. In this case it's kayaking. You could have sailing, motorboating, all sorts of things. We've got our key contact here. In this case it's my wife. You can also put new details in there as well, which would be new details would be things like a phone number, email, etc. Next, it's telling us that the maps here are like these open source maps. Don't use them for navigation, they're just illustrative. So here we've got our starting point. So I'm sat in a van in the car park here. We'll be starting from across here on the jetty. So that's our starting point now, the little blue boat. So when we go to next, it's saying, well, where are you going to go? Are there any additional waypoints? Well, I think we're going to head down towards Todd Head Lighthouse down here. So we'll actually put another waypoint in here. You can take the pin away if you want, but we'll put another waypoint in there. It's a simple plan for me today, but you could have something more, several waypoints in there. Our end point, it's not back up in a car park for me. I should be ending back on the beach here. So I put my end point in here, more or less where we started. So once we've got our sail plan in there, next thing comes, you can add a checklist. And I've done this for both Coastguard and real time. For real time, it's have I got enough fuel for where we're going, those kinds of things. Have a check that the bung is in the bottom of the boat so we don't sink, etc, etc. But here, trip preparation. Have we looked at the weather? Have we checked all of that? Make sure we have. Have we got VHF or mobile coverage? May sound daft, but VHF, if I use the kayak up on Loch Oar, nobody listens to VHF. There's a phone number for emergencies, which is the local boatyard, but you can call as much as you want on VHF. You won't get a response. Nobody else listens to it. So work out where your emergency coverage is going to come from. Determine any alternative routes. So if it was too rough in the harbour here, is there another harbour I can get to and make a safe landing? So that's worth thinking about as well. Now, individuals, have we got appropriate clothing? I'd be using a dry suit today if I was going out. I always carry a spare telescopic little paddle just in case. Make sure I've got my VHF and it's charged up. I've got my smartphone, my mobile phone. Watertight casings for phones, definitely. You're always going to drop your phone or get water on it when you're taking photos of fish. GPS tracker, in my case, the GPS tracker, I've got a GPS on the handheld radio. There's a GPS on the sounder. I've got a handheld Garmin that's also got navigational charts on it. So plenty of options there, and make sure that I've got all of them with me. Towing line and a knife, useful to have. So I've got one built in, which is the anchor trolley on the kayak, can be doubled up as a towing line. Always have a knife for my baiting and things like that. First aid kit, in case you get a hook in your hand. Life jacket, most definitely should be at the top of the list. And my fishing gear, which probably should be at the bottom of the list. It's all about safety. You can edit your checklist. You can put other things on it. So you can add what you want, whatever's necessary for you. Could be food, hot drinks, whatever. We're starting the trip. We know it's kayaking. We know we've got the right stuff on board. We know there's an adult on board. And we know what time we're getting back. So when we hit sail, we get a risk assessment. And that is that you shouldn't rely just on this app for navigation. This is just a backup, just something in case something happens. Basically, the risk's all yours. You don't have to see this every time. I just selected that so you can see what it is. It says here starting trip. So the app will now just run in the background in your pocket, on the kayak, wherever you happen to have it. SMS your sail plan. Do I want to send this to my wife today? I'm going to put no. Normally it would be yes, but I'm just doing a demo, so it's no. We can edit things. We've got the last reported position of the kayak. If my wife was to go into this in about an hour's time, this recorded location would be different. She'd know exactly where I was. So I'm off, going to do my fishing, enjoy myself. I know I've got to be back for 3 o'clock. When I get back at the end of the trip, I can press end trip. Now let's suppose I wasn't back at 3. The app would notify my wife and say, he's not ended the trip. She can then call me and say, are you okay? Are you back safe? You might have forgotten to press end trip. Maybe she can't get hold of me. Maybe I'm out of contact. Maybe there's a big problem and that I need some help. That allows her the opportunity then to get in touch with the Coastguard, start to flag things up and put things on standby until they actually establish exactly where I am. Remember, the Coastguard has got my VHF call sign because I put that in my personal details. They're going to try and get hold of me. If they still get no further luck, then they can send the lifeboat out. If my wife wasn't in mobile range or she didn't answer and this clock kept ticking away, eventually, I think it's within something like about 15-20 minutes, the app would notify the Coastguard. It'd say, I've not heard from Phil, I've not heard from his key contact, something's up here, he might need help. And so the key contact then is bypassed and it goes straight to the Coastguard. The Coastguard will try and get hold of me, as I say. They've got my mobile number, they've got my VHF. They try and get me, no response. Right, time to send out the emergency services. Put out a call on the radio. Has anyone seen that kayak upside down? Has anybody seen a boat in trouble? So that's what actually happens. That's the backup safe part of it. So we can end the trip. This is just for a demo. We end the trip. And do we want to notify the key contact? No, it's only a demo. Normally I would have said yes. It's great that my wife knows that I'm back on dry land. I'd be texting her anyway, but the app will tell her that. Now down the bottom here, you've got an opportunity to review. You see the little play arrow there? If you press that, had we been out, you'd have seen a little track log. You'd have seen where we'd have drifted as a kayak. If I'd been catching fish in one particular point, I could come back to it and see what lat long I was at that particular point and save that for future reference. We know the journey time, so I've been blethering to you for about 5, just nearly 6 minutes. Estimated distance 0, average speed 0, because we're sat in the back of the camper van doing this. So there we have it. Brilliant app. I do strongly advise that you get it and use it. It's free, it's very sophisticated. There's lots of stuff on YouTube about how to use it. I use it all the time with the kayak because I'm generally on my own. I use it a lot when I'm out on the boat. It really helps. It's great to be able to let your key contacts know precisely where you are. RYA, SafeTrx, get it downloaded and use it. I hope you found this useful. So it's still pretty lumpy out there, so having made that little video for you, I think it's time for me to go back home. Yeah, the kayak's staying up there today. We'll come back another day when it's better.